So today I had an opportunity to be part of Donnie Glover's new initiative. As you know, Donnie Glover is the person that heads Black USA News. They also give out Black Wall Street Awards, in which they identify Black businesses from around the United States to portray them, Black entrepreneurship. Donnie's latest show is called New Life Recovery. You can catch him Monday, Wednesdays, and Friday from 12 to 1. This new show focuses on those who are in recovery or want to get into recovery. That being said, let's jump in.
We've just been joined from Tampa, Florida by Mike Randolph. Mike, you've been listening to the show. Welcome to New Life Recovery.
I like it. I like it. I like it. As you know, I was a former heroin addict, so I can definitely identify. From Baltimore.
Okay.
So, yeah, definitely.
Brother Mike, nice to meet you, man. Thank you for coming on the New Life Recovery Show. I really appreciate it because as I hear from Donnie, you could have been doing anything else that you wanted to do.
I sure could have, but for the grace of God. And for me, my way to recovery was stop hating myself and start hating the drug. Once I start hating the drug, it became personal. So every time I even think of drugs, I become that type of thing. Instead of punishing myself and beating myself up, I psychologically begin to say, no, it's the drug. Hate the drug and not hate yourself. But it's not easy, man. And Danny, know a lot of our friends didn't make it. A lot of our friends are still out there. A lot of what that lady Bush used to say, just say no.
Yeah.
Just say no. That was one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard when it comes to an addict.
Right.
Hey, listen here, gentlemen. We've just been joined by Dr. Stacy Eady. She's a pediatrician. Ben, this is our scheduled midday guest. Dr. Eady, welcome to the show. This is New Life Recovery Show. Ben is our fearless leader. Ben, we have a 110 room hotel here?
So it's 100 rooms, Donnie, in this present location. Good morning, Dr. Eady. Good afternoon, rather. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate that. So we have 100 rooms, Donnie, in the present location that we're operating out of currently. And around early December, I'll get the hotel that's next door. That's an additional 50 rooms, God willing.
And Dr. Eady, we're in the 100 block of St. Paul Street, just across the street from the courthouse.
Amazing.
And what high school did you go to, Dr. Eady?
I attended Western High.
That made him chuckle because he and I met up on Cold Spring and Falls Road back around 1979 ourselves.
Okay, Polytechnic Institute.
Absolutely.
Yes, ma'am. Dr. Eady, go ahead and plug your event. What do you have coming up? Hey, Ben, you know what Sunday is?
I do not. Please enlighten me.
Sunday is Mother's Day.
Oh, okay. Look, if my mother was on here, she'd be like, boy, you don't know what? I wasn't thinking, because I be thinking business so much. Donnie, I think business all the time. So I'm thinking it's a business thing, but okay. On a personal level, yeah, Mother's Day. I did know that.
So she thinks business all the time too, but what she's about to tell us about is kind of, I guess, a ministry in a sense, Doc?
Yes. Well, just kind of pulling from the book, Maternal Instinct, Raising Black Sons to Thrive. We're having our second annual Maternal Instinct Mothers of Baltimore Empowerment Brunch. And we're just trying to have, a good time, have mothers out, have some good energy. And we just want to celebrate sisterhood and empowerment and the invaluable roles that mothers play every day. And we're having a dynamic speaker, Dr. Lonnie Bias. I'm sure you all remember. She's the mother of the late Len Bias of the 1980s. And she's going to have a powerful word. She wants to speak on the best is yet to come. So just an event, second year, just wanting to bring mothers of Baltimore out, something positive in the light of Mother's Day for us to get together. But also, it's not excluding anyone else. So it's not just for mothers, grandmothers, it could be fathers, whoever wants to attend. But it's going to be work, and it's going to definitely be beautiful. Be at the beautiful Ampersea located. So we're going to have the ambiance. We're going to have the guest keynote speaker, and we have a lovely corporate sponsor, which is Chesapeake Telemedicine, which has allowed us to enhance our event just a little bit more this year. So I'm looking forward to it. If you know any mothers that are interested, please let them know. If you have any mothers that would like a ticket but just can't afford that ticket price, just let me know or let Donnie know, and Donnie will let me know, and I'd like to bless someone.
That's wonderful. And what time is that, Doc?
11:30 to 2:30, and I'd like to give one of your listeners, two of your listeners tickets. I don't know if you were able to get the link out earlier. Were you able to grab that for the persons earlier?
So I'm putting up the information now, Dot. But then we do have spots for 2 people, and I'm willing to share that with anyone who listens to this broadcast. Dr. Edie is also a pediatrician. And one thing she and I were talking about earlier today, then, which is so relevant to the work that you do, Dr. Edie, any thoughts on, because we talked about this, any thoughts on addiction and what you as a pediatrician, but also as a parent, your thoughts on, and this is May, besides your birthday month, happy belated birthday, but it's also Mental Health Awareness Month.
That's right.
And for Ben, this show is more than just about alcohol and substance abuse. Well, you tell her, Ben. Tell her what this show is about.
So our general theme for this show, Mr. Randolph and Dr. Edie, is mental health. I didn't want to do a show on drugs or substance abuse. I didn't want to. That's too, so, and I'm sure you could attest to this, Doc, through training and education, that's just a symptom of mental health. So I wanted to have a broader show, and we could talk about, because I've been, I don't know if Donnie shared this, I'm also licensed for gambling. So we've had quite a few people. I think I got a license about a year ago, a little more than a year ago. I've had quite a few people to call us and come in through outpatient who have spent their mortgage money and their tuition money and their car payment money at Live and at the Horseshoe. And
I did not know this, and I'm glad to learn this.
Yeah, and we did have discussion. That's fine. And quite a few of them felt like because they had spent their mortgage money, couldn't tell their wives or their husbands or their
suicidal.
They wanted to commit suicide.
Suicidal, damn right.
And so that's one of the big reasons why it was very important for me to have a broader discussion about mental health, because people don't think about that, right? There's a gentleman about 2 weeks ago, and I'm going to tell you about this, Donnie, because it's somebody locally went to school with me, and I found out he DM'd me and told me that he has a gambling issue. And he has a really good job. One of his engineers with one of the premier companies here, he does a lot of sports betting on his phone, in the car, while his wife was at the grocery. He told me he was at Walmart or Sam's something when his wife went inside, and they had just had an argument because he spent, I think, $1,500, and they were supposed to go to some other bill, and he promised her he wouldn't spend any more money. This was just last week. And she went inside the store, and he went and hit his credit card and betted on something and lost. And so he confided in me for treatment. And so sports betting is bringing a whole new cast of clients as they have legislated and made it comfortable and cool. So I needed to make a broad form.
And let's put it out there, Vin. Doc, you know better than me. Does gambling touch Black people more than other people?
Well, it touches everyone. It's like he said, is a part of health. It's an addiction. It is an addiction, but sometimes you're filling the gap of something else. It may be a feeling. It could be, it could be anxiety. It could be depression. It could be many different things. So, addiction is real, whether it's alcohol, whether it's drugs, but mental health is the core of many things, including just regular medical problems such as diabetes and everything. It is the core. It's who we are. It's how we feel. It makes our heart race. It makes our heart decrease, your blood pressure and, all of that just based on the feelings that you have. And it can take your life, like you said, just in that moment. And sometimes we don't always get that moment of someone reaching out. They just go ahead and take it in their own hands. And sometimes you never knew that it was something going on. Sometimes when patients come in, especially during the pandemic, when teenagers came in, the things that teenagers would kind of tell me in front of their parents or not in front of their parents were things that people just never asked. No one ever asked them. They never asked, how are you feeling? They were never asked, how are you? You're okay. We talk about your grades are D's and E's, but let's talk about the grades. Let's talk about how you're feeling. What's holding you back from those grades? And when they start to talk about that, it opens a whole new world. And you're sitting there and the parents crying because they're finding this out in the room with me. They didn't even know, and they're living under the same roof with their child is suffering in silence.
You know what? Oh, I'm sorry, please.
That was it.
You know what I found out, Doc? It's interesting that you're on the show because, and Donnie didn't tell me, but that's fine. I didn't know.
Bring me a show, Doc. You have already blessed us beyond Vin's imagination.
So Doc, here's what I want to share with you. In this space that I'm in right now, I have 100 rooms. Probably the occupied rooms probably is maybe 65, 68, something like that. And in the majority of those rooms, Doc, I have women and children, right? Ages 6 months to about 14 years old, right? Now, here's what I learned in being down here in this space for about a year, because I've got a recovery house also in East and West Baltimore. This is a new animal and a new challenge and a new blessing, all of those. Here's what I learned, Doc. I learned in a year that the children of the men and women who are here in this hotel right now for mental health treatment, the children themselves are suffering some sort or some measure of trauma because many of them they're going from pillar to post or from the shelter. And for them, it's traumatic.
Therapy too.
And I never thought that, Doc. So I say that to you, Dr. Edie, because it's a very, very good possibility that you and I need to converse beyond the 1 hour slated show.
Absolutely. And there's something called the ACE. And if you look it up, it talks about trauma. And I don't have the information in front of me, so I don't want to just kind of ramble. But if you look it up, there's a score, and it gives you a trauma score based on your experiences of life. And that
a trauma score.
Yeah, it's a whole scoring system based on what things you suffered in life.
But damn, I'm scared to go look at that. What about you, Mike Randolph? You know your trauma score?
You're trying.
No, but it will probably be a high score. But I do have a question for the doctor. related to PSTD. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. And
PTSD.
it affects on especially young African and male men and females in the city. And does it lead to violence? And can it be explained for the increase in violence, especially among Generation Alpha?
I believe so. I would definitely, I don't know the research on it, I'm sure. And if somebody's not doing it, I don't know why it hasn't been done, but I'm sure that PTSD leads to violence and other behavior issues as well. I'm sure of that. I would definitely bet on that. And that I quote, I told Donnie earlier about a young cousin that I lost in the streets of Baltimore. And just an example of trauma that young kids, based on what they've seen and the PTSD and the way they react to things, I gave a quote that someone who was in the vicinity where he was killed reported that a young child had been, oh, he didn't make it. And the young child said, oh, he didn't make it, was because he said, oh, the ambulance turned his lights off down the street. I don't even know that as an adult. I don't understand that protocol. But why does a 7-year-old understand and said it so matter of fact that it must have happened enough that it doesn't even affect him when he says it?
Numb.
It's much a part of life, of his life. Yeah.
Doc,
So
we didn't know we were gonna get all of this from you. Thank you.
Yeah. So it's
Yeah,
really,
thank you, Doc. Thank you.
Doc, how can people get in touch with you?
well, I'm on for the book. I'm on IG under Maternal Instinct, the book, and I contacted for my business. I'm available on www.peds, that's PEDSINA pod.net. So
Okay, one more time. PEDS.
IN.
IN is in Nancy.
Mm-hmm. And APOD.
Oh, Peds in a Pod.
Yes. .net.
.org. .com.
NET.
Or .net.
Yes.
Let's put this up on the screen for you.
And the office 410-285-5437.
PedsInAPod.net.
485. You down in Dundalk, Doc?
That's right up. Well, my zip code is Highlandtown, but yes, I am.
Okay. I asked because I'm a native Dundalkian.
Okay. All
Actually,
right.
I should say. Let me give it to you. I'm a native Turner Statian.
Oh, now, I mean, with my sorority, our chapter, that's our community. Yeah.
Really?
So,
Wow.
Of the Capital sorority. So that's a near and dear to me.
Me
What's
too.
that phone number again, Doc? One more time. The phone number?
410-285-5437.
Good deal. Mike Randolph, if anybody wants to get in touch with you down in Florida, what's your number?
Certainly, 813-857-7657.
One more time.
813-857-7657. I do have a quick question though. Is there a difference between mental health between males and females? And if so, what's the difference between mental health? And this goes to both of the guests that's on the show related to mental health. Is there a difference between male and female when it comes to mental health? Or is it an equal protection type of thing where everybody feels the same?
Well, from a medical standpoint, it's never been broken down into sex, but because they break it down based on the DSM-4, and that is like the Bible for mental health. So they break it down based on symptoms and diagnoses, and that goes, for every different diagnosis, whether it's bipolar, anxiety, depression, there are certain key things that have to be there. So technically, in DSM-4 that separates, sex.
So I can give a little bit of the clinical part to that, Ms. Randolph. The ASAM criteria does not distinguish between male and female in terms of when you do an assessment. There's no distinction between male and female questions and answers. It's just the same questions asked of each sex. At best, there's a difference in age when it comes to ages. There's a quantified age bracket. I think it's up to 60 or 65, and then, but not in terms of sex, as I understand it.
Great.
So Mike Randolph, Dr. Edie, we want to thank you for joining us. And we're on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 12 noon. And you have to come back and join us again.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Danny. Appreciate you, man.
Thank you for being on.
Thank you, Mr. Randolph. Thank you, Doc.
So Vin, not a bad first day, huh?
Not at all, bro. Not at all.